Hello, a bit of a personal and channel update this one. Regular viewers of the channel will know that back in December I had an operation on my knee to try and sort it out. There was some pain there. Here's a video up here to tell you more about it. There was some pain. They went in there. They said they fixed a rip in the cartilage and all should be good. And I know a few of you have been kind enough to ask me about it, and I keep saying things like, oh, well, it's still a bit of a problem. And it has been. So that initial thing they fixed was fixed, but it still carried on hurting. And I went back to see the consultant and said, this is still hurting every step I take. And he examined the knee and he decided that it was all good and it was fine, and that's just the way it is. Which is a bit disheartening, because when you sort of go through this stuff and you know, you get an operation to sort stuff out, you'd like to think it's fixed. So due to my wife being awesome, we saw another opinion of another consultant. This one, he kind of had reviews next to him, which is really handy, because they all said about how he was listening to what people were telling him and sort of went the extra mile to sort stuff out. So I went in and explained what was happening. And one of the problems seems to be that whenever I say my knee's really painful, they say, does it swell? And I'm like, no, it doesn't. So he prodded about with it, asked these questions, thought about it for a while. Then he decided on getting more MRI scans, which is a bit of a problem, because once you've had this done on like private insurance before, it becomes a chronic condition, and I was worried they might not want to do it. But fortunately they did. We had more MRIs. He did different types of scans looking for specific things, and he did find something called a subchondral edema, which is a way of saying it's like a sac of fluid inside the bone. Which explained a lot, because it explains why inside a bone, when you get fluid filling there, nothing can expand, so you don't get any swelling. You just get pain because the bone can't expand and it hurts, which explains a lot. This has been going on for a while, and some of them go away from, you know, resting and taking drugs and that. This didn't. So guess what? We have to go back in for another operation, which is kind of what this is about. So I'm filming this on Friday. I've just had to go for a COVID swab. I now have to isolate until Monday when I get an operation. That operation is another what's called arthroscopy, where they just go in both sides of the knee with keyhole surgery. But this time they'll be using a drill to drill into the bone to basically let the fluid out and relieve the pressure in there. And that should, fingers crossed, fix it. I'm much more confident about this guy at the very least, because he sort of didn't shoo me off for saying my knee hurts when there was no sort of physical evidence of it hurting. So I'm fingers crossed he can do something about it. He looked at the rest of the knee and he told me that the knee actually looks in fairly good shape aside from this thing. So fingers crossed about that. Of course, this means that I'm a bit stuck for doing much content at the moment, because aside from the fact I'm going to have to stay home until Monday, there's then a recovery period where I can't do an awful lot other than lie on the sofa. Normally I think, oh, I'll be stuck at home, therefore I'll be able to do stuff like building. But even sat at a desk, and the way my knee's bent at the moment, that's going to be a while before I can do that. So rather than just like a woe is me about my knee, I thought I'd bring you up to date where I am, some of the projects, and what can be coming up eventually when I get better from that. So something that I will be able to finish off is about this thing. This is the Namimno 2.4 Express LRS module. What a pain in the butt to flash this was, but I should have a video coming out on this soon, just a non-fly one. I'll be back to fly it later, but yeah, that was interesting. But I still think Express LRS is a very interesting subject. Then got a couple of fun new products to look at, one of which is this guy. This is the TBS Mambo. Of course, the Mambo is the radio from TBS that has a built-in tracer module. Weird to hold this radio, my first impression, because it hasn't got any antenna, because it's all internal, and it hasn't actually got a carry handle, so it just feels kind of strange in the hand, but feels good quality. To go with that, in this is the TBS Tracer 69, which is I think it's a sort of receiver and VTX in one, so I'll be sticking out the quad, taking this out, flying it to see how it feels, eventually at least. I bought this a while ago. This is a Matek F411 WSE. This is to go into my Zode Dart, because I want to make that iNav, because I feel it's such a good travelling plane that I want to take it places but be able to fly it, but with a GPS arrow so I know where I'm going back again. So as soon as I can get back to building, that's at least a build project. SPV Hobbies, which is part of Rush FPV, sent me this really lovely frame. It's called the Aquila. It's a very lightweight 5-inch quad with holes for very small motors, and it's like a 20mm stack. And I am intending to put these motors on it from a leftover 3-inch quad I have, on the basis that I don't know if they can spin a 5-inch bi-blade. I thought I'd put them, and if they blow up they can't, and if they do, that's okay. So that's my scientific test method. Anyway, this is a lovely looking frame. It weighs nothing, and the carbon just feels really nice. But yeah, I'll get back to building that. We have other Express LRS receivers to test. This is the PPRX from Happy Model, as opposed to these. These are the Namimno ones that go with that module. I still need to decide what that's going in. And finally, the one I really wanted to concentrate on was the OpenHD getting the quad flying. If you saw the recent video I did about the Beta FPV ELRS, you will know that I flew that F450 and it was shaky. And I sort of decided, long story short, that I actually couldn't get it flying nicely with these old 30 amp Opto 10-year-old ESCs that only speak PWM. So my plan is to replace them with the equivalent. This is a 30 amp ESC, this is a 35 amp ESC. This one, well, that's quite old in itself, should be able to speak D-Shot 600. And I did actually wire one up, so that's been connected. I just have to do the other 4 now and then take it out for test flight. But I'm figuring running D-Shot 600 and having to be able to sort of break the ESCs, and that gives me a much better chance of being able to fly that smoothly, which is what I will do before I replace the stuff there. Replacing the stuff here should be a 5-minute job. I just need to remove that. I pop the extra ESC in there, I pop the camera and Pi collection there and plug that in, and it's done. I don't want to do that until I've got it flying smoothly, because at the moment I can get in the OSD via iNav and change all the parameters and make sure that's good, and then I'll swap it over, and then we'll be able to fly that. And those are my plans for now. Links to all those down below, because I won't be able to make the videos for a while, so I can at least do this for the people that sent me the stuff. I'll be getting back to making content as soon as I can, and maybe I'll make some weird and different stuff while I'm still recovering, and well, I can do what I can, really. So not much outside stuff coming up, but I'll do what I can, and hopefully I'll see you soon. Catch you later. Bye for now. Well, you've made it to the end of the video, so thanks once again for watching. If you like what you saw, then please consider subscribing, and if you really like what you saw, then be sure to check out the link to my blog for a variety of ways in which you can help support this channel.